Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody's good. Today we're flipping gears a little bit different. We're going to be talking trending players for running backs as we continue to move forward with last 8 games of the regular season for fantasy football. And then we discuss how the schedule, the consistency rates, how these running backs could potentially be league winners for us. Let's dive into the good stuff of waste absolutely no time. First one on my board is DeAndre Swift from these Philadelphia Eagles. Very interesting situation with the Eagles. He's been doing extremely well. Nobody thought outside of myself. I'm telling you, I was a big promoter of a DeAndre Swift when he got traded to those Philadelphia Eagles. He is ranked number 6 right now. Can he maintain being a top 10 running back in fantasy football right now? 115 points in 9 games is good news. 75% boom consistency rate. He's been very good for us basically for the entirety of this entire season so far. It is, been tough sledding these past several games, and they're on the bye this week, so they do got a lot of tough contests. Good run defenses coming up. The matchup play is just something we got to keep aware of, not necessarily dictating how he's going to do for the remainder of the year, and that goes with any fantasy football player that we discuss, but there is a lot of running back defenses that are big-time stoppers on the running back note, so it might be tough sledding in a lot of these contests right now. So as for the final 8 games, it is a downtrend for me on a DeAndre Swift, even though I do believe he will give us the top end point productivity anywhere from the 10 to 15 points in majority of these contests. Week 17 versus the Arizona Cardinals is a gem for fantasy football finals. DeAndre Swift right now, I would definitely keep sticking with him because he will bring us the fantasy football goods, especially in an offense that does run the football a lot. DeAndre Swift overall as a player, I still think is on the rise, but the final 8 games, don't really care for it right now. Jonathan Taylor, ever since coming back from the injury, from the IR, the Colts giving him his monster contract extension. Now we're starting to see the evolution of Zach Moss's touches be pulled back for Jonathan Taylor. JT, that much more. He is ranked 33 right now in only 5 games. This is not bad at all. And, the past week, I believe, what he get? 19 points, half PPR. This is good stuff. Gardner Minshew's at least continuing to make this offense move in the right direction. His boom consistency right now is at 60% because Zach Moss was taking the touches as he got his his football legs back up under him, I should say. And this final 8 games is very good, man. Lots of good teams to play against. The Patriots, Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Vegas Raiders at Week 17 for the finals. Jonathan Taylor is absolutely, barring any injuries, obviously with all this evaluation, JT could be a very big running back league winner for us. No kidding. As it goes right now, the schedule's on the rise for him and the players on the rise as we're starting to see a lot of touches go back to a JT. Saquon Barkley, my guy. This is a big problem in New York right now. Ranked number 23. He's missed time with injury as well. Only played in 6 games, but he does have the 83.3% boom consistency, which we love to see. However, so much turmoil going on with this New York Giants offense. Daniel Jones, Daniel Pennies, he is gone for the season on the IR now with an ACL injury. Now they're going towards the DeVito kid and a Matt Barkley potentially being the starting quarterbacks this week, facing the Cowboys, Saints, Eagles, Rams. Those are tough defenses to go up against, and we know how much they've been force-feeding a Saquon Barkley right now and not really much anything else on this offensive side. My biggest fear with a Saquon right now is potential overworkload. Against the 2 weeks ago, he had, 39 carries, 39 touches. It was just unbelievable how much they were force-feeding this man the ball, and eventually we know Saquon, his body does wear down. He does have some injury history. As of right now, the final 8 games is not good for a Saquon Barkley. His trend as a player, he's always going to try his best to put up points because he is one of the elite running backs in this league. However, this schedule does really scare me, and how the team dynamic is going. That 83% consistency should definitely go down, man. The touches and volume will be there. We can bank on that 110%, but it is such a drastic situation in New York right now. It is very scary, so I got to say right now, Saquon is on the downtrend along with these final 8 games. It is not good. Maybe you do think about shopping his services, get him off your team, and finding another good elite running back. Brian Robinson, the Washington Commanders, the Commies, rank number 8, y'all. This guy's been absolutely killing it so far this season under the Eric Bieniemy offensive system. 107 points, 9 games played. He's been an absolute battering ram, and we haven't had, the discussion of saying, is Antonio Gibson going to be taking volume from this man whatsoever? The interesting aspect, even at rank number 9, he still is 55.6% on the boom consistency, and you say, how is that? How is a guy that's ranked 9 only have under 60% boom consistency? It's because he's getting his big games, and he's putting up a lot of points far and few between. So one game he'll score 20, the next game he'll score 8, and that's where we're getting the inconsistency in that. So you do want to have the longevity of consistency in your running backs, but the final 8 games, man, there's a lot of green on this board. Only 2 real tough tests at the running back spot. Even the New York Jets might give him even though the Jets aren't great at defending the run, the Jets should give the Commies something to work on when it comes to trying to find the end zone. So that game I would actually even put in the yellow if I could, but matchup play does dictate a lot of terms as well. It's not the final end all like I'm saying, but it is a good matchups all across the board. The trend is definitely up in the rise for a Brian Robinson as a player, and on the final 8 contest, I do like it a lot, man. 55% should definitely increase as we continue down these final 8 games. He could absolutely be a league winner for us as the year does go on. Austin Eckler and these Los Angeles Chargers continuing to find their stride as he's come back. He's only played 5 games so far this season, but he is ranking. His rank is definitely pointing in the right direction, coming off a big game versus those New York Jets on Monday Night Football. They're going to continue to force feed the man. 60% boom rate is okay right now, but again, he was coming off his own injuries. Now he's starting to feel himself a little bit more, and the schedule is extremely favorable for these Chargers as they try to figure things out. Yes, Josh Palmer went on the IR, so hopefully Quentin Johnston can make some do and help out this offensive punch that much more. But, I mean, realistically, yellow and green is very good news for the final 8 games for Austin Eckler. He is a beast. We know this. Barring any health for him, he should finish still. He'll creep into that top 10 running back, I do believe, as the season does go on, because he's far too talented, and this offense is moving in the right direction with a Kellen Moore. You got to love everything that's happening with an Austin Eckler right now. Kenneth Walker, the 3rd Seattle Seahawks. And I was preaching up Kenny big time this offseason. I did believe in the talents, even though with a Zach Charbonnet, we're starting to see some touches and volume go to Charbonnet, but I do believe they're trying to, limit the overall volume at this point because he was dealing with that calf injury. Still ranked as the number 8 running back in 8 games played. I mean, the final 8 don't look too bad for him, man. I mean, there is ups and downs here. There's a lot of good. I mean, San Francisco twice is not going to be a good one. You got the Eagles, you got the Cowboys, the Rams still good on the run defense. It's going to be a struggle for these Seattle Seahawks to move forward. Gino's been turning the ball over. They haven't been able to pass the football like we want to see. DK Metcalf has been a fantasy afterthought this season, which is absolutely, helping the cause for a poor boom consistency rate. We're 62.5 on the boom rate for Kenny Walker is the problem right now. Last few weeks have not been good. I mean, we do foresee a bounce back this week potentially against the Commanders, but it's very interesting. We're going to have to see and, basically temper the top-end expectations for Kenny, especially versus the tougher run defenses in the NFL. I get the 49ers haven't been, elite as of late, but they will figure things out, and that defense will give the Seattle Seahawks a lot of trouble, especially in these tough divisional games. On the downtrend is the final games, but I still got a mid-level to up marker for Kenny Walker as we move forward because I still believe that he could take over games all by himself. You got to hope the health of his calf is definitely on par. So hopefully he doesn't foresee his way back into the medical room. Derrick Henry, King Henry, with the installation of Will Levis, you got to love the absolute upside going into these final 8 contests for these Tennessee Titans. Ranked number 7 for Derrick Henry in those 8 contests. 113 points, man, even as they try to sprinkle in some Tajay Spears. Consistency for Derrick Henry still remains basically career the same. Last 3 years, I believe Henry's 72%, and he's beating that by 3 points at 75% on the boom rates. I love it all day long, man, and there's a lot of good upside here versus a lot of teams that do not defend the run very well. Definitely on the ups here, man. I mean, Carolina is probably one of the tougher ones. Jacksonville does play good defense, but King Henry always gashes those Jacksonville Jaguars. And Miami, Seattle, Houston 2 times. This could be some very big issues for these defenses as King Henry could try to make this team get into a playoff spot with the evolution of a Will Levis. So long as Will doesn't give up the, turnovers and cost his team the games, Derrick Henry, they're going to ride this one through and through, seeing if they can make the postseason one last time before they move on from guys like Ryan Tannehill and potentially moving on from a Derrick Henry. You got to ride this all the way to the finals because it is a good schedule upcoming. And I mean, Derrick Henry's been the supreme, ultimate, consistent running back for many years to come. I don't foresee that stopping at any time. So up on the Henry, trending right now for sure. And I think the schedule is absolutely glorious. Alvin Kamara, next one on the board, New Orleans Saints. He's seen a downtrend in these past several weeks, as you know, the usage of a Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams have increased these past several weeks. This is not good news, as they're talking about, curtailing back the captain check down from a Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara has seen his point totals drop to the lowest since he's come back this past week to 9 half PPR points. It was not good. 103 points. He does rank at number 13, which is very good, in only 6 contests, mind you, as he was dealing with that suspension. So, I mean, right now, they still have the bye in week 11, but there's a lot of red on this. Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, LA Rams, Tampa Bay, they all play the run defense extremely well. So on the schedule-wise, you got to say it is a down marker for an Alvin Kamara, but that is the caveat in this. Alvin is, we know, the PPR upside running back like in Austin Eckler, so he will get his touches in the pass game, which will always uplift his game, even if they are stifling the run attack. So this is not necessarily the full worry on an Alvin Kamara on his trends, because I do believe the trend will still continue to rise as the schedule versus the New Orleans Saints is quite soft, and the Saints will be challenging to be the division winner, which will undoubtedly leave an Alvin Kamara being one of the top 10 running backs in fantasy football as well. 83% boom consistency rate in 6 games since coming back from suspension. He's been absolutely killing it, and he did have a bust this past week, but it will turn around. I absolutely believe it, because, I mean, we're at in week number 10. Things can absolutely change by the time we get to week 14 and then entering the final, fantasy football playoffs. So Alvin Kamara, I still am trusting supremely well, even though the matchups don't say that. But like I said, you got to take that with a grain of salt when it comes to matchups, because elite level talent will always come to play. Definitely on the rise for Alvin Kamara. Ramondre Stevenson, New England Patriots. So he's been we could basically call him a fantasy bust right now for where we were drafting him. He is still ranked 20, definitely at his best game of the season this past week. Lots of injuries going down with the New England Patriots. They are one of the worst teams in the AFC, but this might bode well for us in fantasy football. Why? Because they're going to kind of try to continue to go back to the well, try to be competitive in some of these contests. Schedule is extremely favorable for Ramondre. They finally got back to the well and started utilizing Dre in the pass game this past week. This is big news, as we want to see Dre continue to move forward with the PPR upside, which will give us a lot of point totals. We need this from Dre. Is it possible that Dre gets back into the top 15? I will say that's a stretch at this point, but I do like the teams that he is facing that give up a lot of points to the running back position. So we got to say, 55.6% on the boom rate is not good. I mean, I expected this to be in the 70s this year. I totally thought even if they were losing, they would do the captain check down stuff to a Ramondre. Has not come to fruition just yet. Maybe we start to see it move forward. Everybody's on the Pop Douglas bandwagon right now. I am not at this point, and I want to see those targets go to Dre more than anybody, so we'll see. On the ups right now for the final 8 games, absolutely the New England Patriots have a good upside for their running back duo with him and Zeke Elliott. They could absolutely start to at least control games in this aspect, but I want to see a lot of PPR work going to a Ramondre at this point. And as a player trend, you got to say Dre's kind of on that middle ground, because I don't know if we can trust it yet. We still want to see 2 to 3 more contests of this type of usage that we saw last week. Then I'll start to feel a little bit warmer about him. So let's put Dre on the even kill, where his final 8 games are definitely moving up the board on the trends. Last one I got is Raheem Mostert and these Miami Dolphins. Are they pretenders? Are they contenders? Which one are they? They're a very difficult team to, decipher at this point. They cannot beat the top teams in the league, which is why the big concerns are there. But, they're a track team, and based on their final 8 contests, these are a lot of the bottom feeders in the NFL right now outside of, the Washington Commanders. The New York Jets are still falling off a little bit. The Dallas Cowboys, you got the Ravens the final week of the season. So, this is going to be, or the final week for the fantasy football final, I should say. But, rank number 2, Raheem, and then, you got Devin A-Chain coming back as well. This is a big problem, as we saw A-Chain take over a lot of the snaps for Raheem Mostert. So we may see more split carries in this backfield. That way McDaniel can keep both of his thoroughbred running backs, speedster running backs healthy, because, at this point, we haven't seen Raheem Mostert really deal with much injury, which is good news for him. He's got an extensive injury history also. But, on the rise for the final 8 games and 77.8 on the boom consistency, you can't hate what Raheem has been doing for you. you. He's been absolute gem. I mean, one of the late round flyer gems at the running back position that is definitely key for us to continue to make it into the fantasy playoffs while maybe being a key fixture in that fantasy football final. But I mean, with Devin Achane, and I mean, if Tyreek goes down with some injury, this could be a massive problem. But I mean, again, lots of top end running backs we're talking about with trends. I still got Raheem on the even to upside only because the potential down is there because of Devin Achane coming back. But we got to see how this offense is going to work when Achane does come back, and it's going to be definitely tricky usage moving forward. But there you have it. That is trending players for these running backs as we enter week 10. Little snippet of what these guys have to come and what we're going to have to deal with when it comes to their schedule, team dynamic, and how they've been doing consistency rate-wise, because they're massive. I mean, we talk about total points and points per game. Those don't even matter as much when you talk about how consistent these players are. If you get a player who scores 30 points one game and then 5 the next 3, it's not good news. We got to have the full inconsistency with these players based on matchup, based on team dynamic. It all correlates for fantasy football victories, I'm telling y'all. But there you have it. Nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. You guys in on these guys? You have these guys? You trust in these guys? You need to trade any of them? Throw them in the comments. We can definitely talk it out. But we'll see you next time. I am out.